Hey, today I want to talk about sound money and why school didn't prepare us for life. School didn't prepare you for life because, number one, I'm going to start out with saying I'm not a financial advisor. I'm a student of life just like you. I want to learn as much as I can. I keep learning. I'm not licensed. I'm navigating. I want you to do your own due diligence. Scripture says to study to show yourself approved. My focus is leadership development and helping you optimize your maximum return on investment to your greatest investor, who is our creator. So, first off, I want to break this down. You got the school textbooks versus modern life things that are happening. School taught us the same curriculum that our parents were learning, while the world is rapidly changing. I mean, once a new technology comes out, you just start learning it, and then they say, have you learned these other 20 that just dropped, a couple of hours later? Why aren't we learning how money works, how banking operates, how to build substantial generational resources that can take care of our family line and take care of our community? Why do these tools feel like they're being hidden, like they're elusive, like they're, only for a few people? I'm Andre J. Benjamin. I'm the head of CEO of Destiny, and I transform complex concepts into simple frameworks that help you steward well, that helps you maximize everything that you are. So I want to share some thoughts about the education gap that might be keeping people from the tools that help you build your own table. So, and what I mean by that is I think about how schooling versus education, right? One person says, don't ever let your schooling get in the way of your education. That is a powerful quote that impacted me because schooling is different than education. You go to schooling and it's a system that, and where curriculum is disseminated, you're learning, they've got the bells, they've got the classes, they've got the different frameworks that you're taught. And for the most part, it's built out of this factory making system, but it's not going into the deeper things that you will use for the rest of life. So I want us to look at that versus education. The root word of education is educe, which means to draw out or to call forth. So think about this. You spent 12 years in school learning things that might never impact your daily life. Nobody taught us things such as what money actually is. A spoiler alert, it's not what you think it is. I know what you're thinking. You're thinking about what's in your pocket or what's in your account, how banking works and why that matters, the difference between good debt versus bad debt, how to acquire assets using leverage, how wealth gets created. And it's not just working hard, how jobs get created so you can create them, how to add value and solve problems, the real money makers, how food impacts your body and your mind, how to grow your own food, how to purchase property, how credit really works, assets versus liabilities, how to solve conflict, how to work with different types of people, how to pull the best out of different types of people, how to lead, how to effectively communicate. And the list goes on and on and on, right? So you know what they call this? Adult stuff, the things you spend your entire life working out, but somehow we're supposed to figure this all out after graduation. I remember that thought of when do you actually become an adult? I've talked with many young men throughout the years who I've encouraged and mentored and trained. And I said, when do you become an adult? Is it when you hit a certain chronological age? Is it at a certain birthday? Or is it when you hit a certain benchmark? I bought my first piece of property, or I got a job that paid this much. Most people can't define it because it seems so elusive. Yet, this is what we're discovering. So, look, I started this journey in 2018 at a blockchain conference in regards to sound money. Picture this. There's a room full of all the smartest people and attendees looking intensely, some of them looking smug, throwing around terms like they were a part of some sort of advanced educational club. I raised my hand and I asked the question, what the heck is fiat? You should have seen the eyes roll. You should have seen people with the mocking look, the look that said, this guy doesn't even belong in here. Get this clown out of here. But here's what happened next. I got my answer. Then I watched those same smug attendees discreetly writing down the same information I just asked about, because ain't no future in their frontin'. Translation, most people put on a mask like they really know what's going on, but they don't. And they're too prideful to ask the basic questions. So I willingly paid what my wife and I call the idiot tax. I was willing to have humility and ask the dumb questions, and I still am. Because here's what I realized: most of these concepts are made to sound complicated to keep common folk out of the conversation. While everyone else is trying to get crumbs from a select few's table, I'm highly interested, highly invested, and intrigued with helping people build their own tables. And I'm not going to take credit for this framework. This came from the Booker T. Washingtons. This came from the Marcus Garveys later on. This came from those who understood the value of stopping, waiting for an invitation to the table. And this can be applied to anyone that has the ears to hear and the know-how and the desire to push past this. So let's break down some of these tools of the trade. And remember, life does not have to be some boring, droll thing. Let's see. Money. It's not what you learned in school. Real money holds value over time. What we use today, it's currency that loses value while you hold it. Think of melting ice cubes, right? Think about how you get ice cream as a kid and you love the way that it could be shaped and formed on your cone, and you can look at it as a prize of beauty. But the longer you hold it, what happens? It's making a mess that's pouring over your hand, and then you have to clean up that mess. This is how money is every time it's printed. Banking. Let's see. Banking basics is one of the things is the bank takes our money, lends it out at higher rates, and gives us back scraps. That's the name of the game. You could see this, you could debate it, or you could figure out how it works for your benefit. And then let's talk about debt. There's debt that crushes you, which is liability debt for credit cards, loans, consumables, things that don't really hold value over time. And then there's debt that builds wealth. There's people who invest debt to buy cash flowing assets, to buy things that are appreciating, to buy things that expand a business, create jobs, create products, goods, and services that people are paying for. So assets versus liabilities. Assets put money in our pockets. Liability takes money out. Your house might not be the asset you think it is. It actually can become an asset if it is leveraged for something else. So I'm not a real estate expert, something to consider. Wealth creation is about solving problems that people will pay for, then building systems that solve those problems without you. So it's for the long term. And you see this around us of some of the greatest companies, right? McDonald's, what are people paying for? They're paying for the system. They're paying for the system that works. They're paying for the name, while the franchisee buys that real estate and also gets a hold of the system. They buy the real estate that McDonald's will own and hold, and they will get the system, right? These aren't advanced concepts. They're basic tools that should be taught in middle school, but they're not, because educated consumers are harder to exploit. You can't take advantage of someone who knows what's going on. So here's something to consider. What if boring education system really isn't broken? What if it's working exactly as it's designed? What if keeping people ignorant about money, banking, and wealth creation serves someone else's interests? What if the real education happens when you're willing to ask all the dumb questions and pay the idiot tax to learn what you should have learned years ago? I'm not saying I'm some sort of master or sensei. I'm a regular guy. I refuse to not take time to read, to ask questions, to get my hands dirty with these tools, to go and be in conferences and in rooms, to invest in being in communities where people are driving for the same answers, and many have solved the problems that of the questions that I'm asking. They've been somewhere before that I haven't been. So I love to go and be around wisdom. I love to study wisdom. I love to apply wisdom. And I'm learning more and more daily of how to be humbled by this. So because of the alternative of being educated, self-educated, the alternative of going all in on your own self-education is staying frozen out. It's begging for crumbs. It's wondering why life feels so hard when others seem to have figured something out, right? So this is what I want to say. In a nutshell, this conversation is about real education. I want you to call out. I want you to draw forth. I want you to see the thing that is resonating within you. There's a scripture that says the heart of a man is deep waters and the man of understanding draws it out. I believe the Creator is pulling out that thing which has been hidden in you. Ecclesiastes 3 says he has set eternity in our hearts, but yet we cannot fathom it from beginning to end. So there is eternal nature of there is a trove of wisdom and understanding that needs to be unearthed and drawn forth. The very questions, the contemplative heart, the question that the curious heart, right? It's right available if we will not fall asleep at the wheel. So the conversation is happening with or without us. We have the ability to get in. Are we willing to stay in a system that teaches you to be a good employee? Are you going to learn the tools that help you build your own table? Remember, this isn't financial advice. Do your own due diligence. But these concepts might be worth exploring. If this sparks something for you, connect with me on LinkedIn. Check out more at ceoofdestiny.com. Leave a comment here on YouTube. Let me know what you think. Go to the website, check out our other resources, and let me know what dumb questions you're willing to ask. Because sometimes the smartest thing you can do is admit that you just don't know. My children ask me questions, and I have to say so many times, I don't know. Because whenever I fake it and I start making up an answer, they say, Dad, that doesn't sound right. So it's my encouragement to you. Let's peep this out together. Let's go on this journey, and let's win together as we learn together, right? Shalom.